Right. This is so fun to be here, guys. So, to really understand Smitten ice cream, honestly, you kind of need to know about the journey. So, I'm going to start from the beginning. So, ever since the age of 3, my mom used to tell me I had 2 stomachs, and one of those stomachs was solely reserved for ice cream, and I still believe that. But of course, as Camilla said, I grew up, went to college, graduated from college, became a consultant. After 5 years of being a consultant, I still didn't know what a consultant did, but I knew it wasn't for me. So I enrolled at Stanford and decided to take this thing I love, ice cream, and make it better. So I dove headfirst into entrepreneurship classes, and I learned as much as I could about the ice cream industry. And honestly, I was pretty disgusted and disturbed by what I learned. One big thing is that ice cream companies, any ice cream company that has to distribute or ship beyond the place that they actually manufacture has to make enormous sacrifices and compromises for shelf life. So ice cream companies are not focused solely on taste anymore. It's a pretty big bummer. Not only does this mean that there's ingredients in your ice cream that you probably can't even pronounce, but these ingredients really affect and mute taste. So I realized, holy shit, we're all missing out. Also, I became an uber nerd in ice cream science, and I learned the science behind ice crystal formation. And the gist is, the colder you can freeze ice cream, the smaller the ice crystal is. And the smaller the ice crystal, the smoother the product can be. So this brought me to liquid nitrogen, which is negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, damn cold. So I had this aha moment where I realized that if I could make ice cream to order, I could actually make it better. So I could freeze ice cream at such a low temperature that I could freeze it within about 2 minutes. And then I could use the freshest and purest ingredients and nothing else. I could focus only on taste. So naturally, I started tinkering in my backyard, obviously. So I literally started sourcing a tank of liquid nitrogen from a local welding shop and bought a bunch of parts off Craigslist, used duct tape to put them together, why not? And started making ice cream every day. By the end of my 2 years at Stanford, I was known as the ice cream girl. I even catered a friend's wedding. This is me in my bridesmaid dress, making ice cream. And I learned pretty quickly that it's actually really easy to make ice cream with liquid nitrogen. People have been doing it for over 50 years. It's really, really easy. It's so cold, you can freeze anything. Unfortunately, it's really hard to make it well. This is one of my first batches. Pretty hideous. And why is that? It's because liquid nitrogen is so darn cold that it freezes so quickly that the ice crystals all kind of want to cluster, and it's really easy to overfreeze or underfreeze or freeze inconsistently. So I graduated from Stanford, and I decided that it was my mission in life to solve this problem. I was going to perfect the art of making fresh churned ice cream to order. So I spent the next 2 years in a basement workshop with a retired and brilliant engineer, literally prototyping and banging our heads against the wall for months and months and months. And finally, we had this one breakthrough that made it happen. We were sort of sitting, holding our heads, and one of us was turning a screw on the table. And if you think of a screw, you think of like the downward spiral of a screw. And we were looking at that, and we sort of thought, let's try to model that up. So we took a clothes hanger and wrapped it around one arm, plunked it down, took another clothes hanger, wrapped it around the other arm, plunked it down. You can see those in the bowl right there, and we started turning them. And we noticed that when you turn them together, they actually scrape each other on pretty much every surface. And because they're spiraling down, they kind of compress. We're using water. They push it and push everything down and in. And so we decided, hey, let's weld this up. So we welded it up. I learned how to weld in these 2 years. Welded it up. And we started working with it more, and we realized, hey, holy crap. If you do this, you're actually scraping every surface of both spirals, and we also started moving the bowl. So you move the bowl in the opposite direction. You're basically keeping every particle of the ice cream moving. Nothing can stick together. It's all compressing down, and it makes an incredibly smooth product. So we built the rest of the machine around that interaction. This is me in the basement workshop, very tired, after 2 years finally coming together. So at the end of this, we could literally make the smoothest, freshest, purest ice cream that I had ever seen. You can actually see the texture is just different. But as you guys know, timing is everything, right? It was 2009 when I finally had this ice cream machine done, 2009. So not the best time to start an ice cream company or any business for that matter. So I had to get creative again. So I hit the streets. Why not? So at this point, I'd become pretty savvy at inventing stuff and just kind of decided to wing it. So I strapped my prototype machine on top of a milk crate, on top of a radio flyer wagon, and took an old motorcycle battery and rewired it and reconfigured it to basically power my machine for about 4 hours on the street, because otherwise you had to plug it into a wall, and that just wouldn't work in the parks and alleys of San Francisco. So basically, I started using Twitter, and I would just say, hey, here's the flavor of the day. Here's where I'm gonna be. Come and get it before I sell out or before the cops come. And that was my life for the next year. So more photos of me on the streets. And I learned so much in that year selling ice cream, churned to order on the streets of San Francisco. Not only did I learn about the benefits of simplicity over customization, about pricing, about throughput, but I also learned about community. People would come in huge crowds and they would talk to me for hours as I'm churning every scoop to order. And Smitten became not only the place where you seek it out for the product, but it was also where community happened. So there was one moment while I was serving ice cream on the street that, actually a month, where Smitten Ice Cream, serving ice cream out of a wagon, was rated #1 restaurant in all of San Francisco above Gary Danko. And I was like, okay, I think it might work. And so I realized that one ice cream machine was just not gonna cut it. I had to do something bigger. But I was now I still do have the firm belief that the scrappy way usually is the best way to go. And so I decided to take an old rusted out shipping container and turn it into a shop. So I craned it into the middle of Hayes Valley, San Francisco, and opened it up, built a little outdoor deck, and soon we had lines around the block. And I was the general manager there, working about 90 hours a week. So 5 years later, we now have 7 shops open in California, with 3 more opening soon in the Bay Area and in LA. About 200 awesome baristas. My machine's name is Burr. We call ourselves Burristas. Got to play a little bit. It's ice cream, guys. So not only are we a retail food company, but we're an ice cream innovation company. We've invested millions of dollars in perfecting this art of turning ice cream to order. Not only have I been working with mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, but I've also been working with software engineers and control systems experts, such that our Burr machine actually senses viscosity. There's different algorithms for different flavors and different sizes, and our Burr machine actually knows when each flavor is done and frozen to perfection, and it stops for you. So all you're doing is scooping, and that leaves our employees the ability to actually engage with our guests. But tech aside, honestly, it's been like the coolest part of my job, just to sit in our shops and listen and hear what people have to say. And I've learned that people from all over the world are now coming to Smitten. Honestly, sometimes, very frequently, we see people come into our stores with their luggage straight from the airport. We're their first stop. But it's not what tourists have to say that matters to me most. Honestly, it's what the locals have to say. And I've learned from sitting in our shops and listening to our guests that Smitten is one of the places that people bring their out-of-town visitors to show them how amazing their city is. It's a place where people frequently go for first dates, where people have gotten engaged, and this couple here actually asked us if they could shoot their engagement photos at our shop. This is Amy and Larry, and they literally shot their engagement photos at our shop because it was such a special place to them. So Smitten Ice Cream is not just about the product, it's really become like where memories are made. So I really learned that, yes, I truly believe that we are making the best ice cream in the world, but our mission as a company is joy, and joy alone. So that's a pretty fun thing to say. Our mission is joy. So, this is a really fun story, but it's not just a story about a girl and her wagon. It's a really bigger evolution of an industry, and we're just beginning. This is a huge market. Ice cream is a $52.5 billion industry, and $8 billion of which is in the US alone. And honestly, it's very stale, very stagnant, and no one is really innovating unless you're looking at flavor innovation, and people are innovating there. But everyone is pretty much playing with the same rules of engagement in manufacturing and distribution. And at Smitten, we believe in reimagining what those rules can be. We are using technology to focus on quality, freshness, purity, simplicity, and taste to create truly personable and memorable moments that will enchant and engage our guests. And our retail shops are just the beginning of a much more diversified journey to evolve the industry. Such a fun thing. So before I drone on longer and longer, I just want to say that if any of you guys want to talk more, I'd be happy to meet anytime you're in the Bay Area over a scoop of ice cream, Churned to order just for you. But in the meantime, we brought our burr machines here. So you guys get to have a little scoop of ice cream after this. But the gist of what I want to leave you guys with is I believe in using technology to actually go back in time and make better products and better experiences. So I'll leave it at that, but yeah, I highly encourage you. We're doing 2 different flavors outside. Basically, choose your vice is the theme. So we have a coffee and donuts flavor, and we have a mojito flavor, which is definitely boozy. So, warning. So thank you guys so much.